Now, although it is a good skill to know how to factor by hand, because I'm preparing you for a standardized test here, we want to make sure we know how to utilize the different resources we have at our disposal, the primary one being Desmos. So let's go in here, and you don't have a command to factor something explicitly. However, we can go ahead and type in this function of 8x squared. I'm going to use Shift 6 to do the caret, and then minus 5x minus 22. And essentially, when you're solving a quadratic function, or any function for that matter, you're really finding x-intercepts. So in other words, where the graph crosses the x-axis. So we'll go ahead and look here, and that occurs when y is 0. So you want to make sure that when you're kind of exploring around, you're making sure it's specifically the point where y is 0. I'll go ahead and click this so that it exports it here to, in this case, the second field. And then I'll do the same thing for this one. And then we found our two x-intercepts. So let me go ahead and write these so that we have a visual of what's really going on. So we have x equals 2 based on this one. And then we also have x equals negative 1.375. Now, let's go ahead and turn them into factors, because you can see here, these are factors instead of roots or solutions or x-intercepts. All those are synonyms, basically. So let's go ahead and move the 2 to the other side by subtracting it. And now we have x minus 2 as the factor that would produce the x-intercept of x equals 2. And we could do the same thing here, but as we're doing that, we know it's going to become a positive by adding it over. But let's go ahead and use another neat feature on Desmos, which is if I just type in negative 1.375 and I press this button, it turns it into a fraction for me, because we can see that clearly we don't have any decimals. So I get negative 11/8. And keep in mind, we already said we're adding it over, so it's really going to be positive 11/8 over here. So these are the two factors. So the x minus 2 one, yeah, that looks really good here. That means b must be 1 because there's no coefficient here, so we assume it to be a 1. Now for this one here, we know that it has an 11, this has an 11, but it's not quite there. We don't want any fractions according to this. Well, what's making this a fraction? The denominator is always the thing that prevents a number from being just a whole number or an integer. So we're going to multiply both sides by that denominator. Now 0 times anything gives you 0. Distributing the 8 gives you 8x. Plus, notice when I distribute here, the 8 is going to cancel with this 8, which is what we wanted, and we get 8x plus 11. So now we can see that a is going to be 8, and the goal all along was to find a minus b. Well, we found a is 8, b is 1, so a minus b, or 8 minus 1, is going to give you an answer of 7.